What's up, fanboys and fangirls? Welcome to a special podcast edition of In Geek for fanboysanonymous.com. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango. Joining me is Robert DeFelice.
Hey, Tony, we've done back-to-back weeks of Fanboys podcast. How does that
Great.
feel?
I love it. Wish I could do more.
Let's do more.
If you want us to do more, hit up the Patreon. I will plug plenty of things later on. I'm not going to just make this whole podcast about that. But yeah, we decided to do this kind of on a little bit of a whim here, and it's not something that we have done before. It's the Week in Geek, which is up every single week on the website, but kind of figured, you know what, do a podcast about it. Let's talk about some things. Let's talk about, in particular, the Mandalorian season finale, but we're going to get into some other things here. We're going to get into the Tom Cruise rant, the latest trademark on Marvel Studios. I'm going to watch the Super Nintendo World Direct video, and I'm going to have it muted and get my reaction to that. And talk a little Cyberpunk. I might rant a little bit about Tenet. It's just sort of is what it is. So have some fun here. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you do, or if you don't, constructive criticism is great too. Leave a comment below. Tell us your thoughts on that and your thoughts on all the things we talk about here too, because I'd love to get everybody else's opinions about these things. We don't talk enough Fanboys content, and I'm sure that Fanboys fans would like to have more Fanboys content. I would love to give you more. Again, Patreon. So since we don't normally do this, I'm kind of basically judge it based off of our hot tags that we usually do on Smack Talk, which is to just sort of shoot the shit and talk about some stuff. I guess we should kind of bury the lead a little bit first. The Mandalorian season finale happened, and spoilers. Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. We're not going to talk about things as if we are not going to spoil things. We are going to get into this. So skip forward a little bit if that's the case. You don't want to.
We'll timestamp it. Maybe Tony will timestamp it. I don't want to put that on you, Tony.
If somebody else is worried about it, just skip forward enough and we won't go back and talk about Mandalorian afterwards. If you skip and you hear us go, and then Bo-Katan, then you go up, skip forward a little bit more or something. I'll try to remember to timestamp it, or somebody else can timestamp it in below. Episode was The Rescue, and here's the long and short of it. Great episode.
IGN gave it a perfect 10.
And there are some issues with it, but predominantly I walked away from this going, God, man, Star Wars is so good when it's good.
Yeah.
We know now that the Jedi that reached out to Grogu is Luke.
Amazing.
And Luke pops up at the end, and here's where I'll nitpick a couple things. Number one's got to be the CGI. That was bad. That was pretty bad.
Well, yeah, but I can give it a pass. It was a damn near perfect episode. I can forgive a little badly digitally rendered Joker. I could forgive it.
I think that maybe they could have gotten away with this a little bit better if they would have framed it a little bit differently, or maybe, I like the idea of Sebastian Stan. I think that they should have gone that route. Just cast him and do a slight deep fake switch for the face if you wanted to, even though they look enough alike that I don't think you would need to. But we've seen better deep fake content on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't know why this was that difficult for them. This didn't look as good even as Tarkin and Leia from Rogue One a couple years ago.
Rogue One had some really good CGI.
I know some people are like, that was in the uncanny valley, but that was better than this one was. The Luke thing, but it's Luke. It's great that Luke pops up and he does something. I will nitpick two other things about that though. He should not be wearing the black outfit. That kind of defeated the purpose of the gray tunic on the inside from Return of the Jedi, because he should be wearing more of the lighter tans and stuff at this point.
Right.
And I don't think that the
And
action was good when he was doing that. He like these super badass dark troopers are literally standing right next to him, not doing anything but getting slaughtered. That could have been done a lot better.
I think they did it for the pop of like, hey, it's original Luke, you know, like this is exciting. Obviously, there's the weird where does this fit into the timeline stuff because we don't see Grogu in any of the
Kind of
sequels.
implies that Kylo Ren kills Grogu because
That's a
he's
shame.
going to be a part of the academy, and Kylo Ren kills him. So again, the movies, they just suck. Like it's just there's no
That's
ifs, ands, or buts
fuck
about it.
Kylo
The
Ren.
movies suck. If you gave us The Mandalorian as the first thing out of that, and we didn't see The Force Awakens, people would be like, "Oh my god, like this is going on so many levels. We got this Grand Moff Gideon. Uh, this dude's like the next, like he's kind of the replacement of kind of a combo of Tarkin and Thrawn, and what's going to happen with this baby Yoda? Is Grogu going to be the biggest thing in the world in the next? And then now we're like, that doesn't matter because in a couple of years everybody just blows up, and it's like that sucks. But it's fantastic, the show.
It is fantastic, the
I'm
show.
very glad that it was Luke and not that they created some extra character to be like, this one's Luke's number 2, and that woman or that guy is going to be the one that takes him. And, like it needed to be Luke.
It did. And ultimately, like, this was a better love letter to Star Wars than any of the movies, except for Rogue One. I enjoyed Rogue One.
Rogue One's not all that
Uh,
bad. Yeah, it's like there's flaws in Rogue One, but for the most part, Rogue One's just like, hey, what if we like tell the story of what happened beforehand? You're like, all right, cool.
yeah. And, of course, on the other side of it, as we are, we're on the blue band right now, but the red band being smart gut moment, you know, Josh Banks. Josh Banks kicked some fucking ass
Still not a big fan of her
in this
character,
episode.
to be honest.
How do you feel about her performance, though?
Still not a big fan of her performance.
Well, what's not clicking for you?
It reads to me as the pro wrestler guest star that is like, oh yeah, well I'm gonna say this line real tough, kind of thing.
I don't know. I think it shows promise. I didn't expect her to get physical. I did not expect a tornado DDT on Star Wars.
See, I
That's
do, because when they do that, they go, "Can you incorporate some of your wrestler moves in here?" They did it with like Smallville. They did it with, uh,
I guess we're in that age where a tornado DDT would be like the body slam,
yeah.
because like it used to just be, I'll do back body drop and body slam and nah. Sash Banks did full on tornado DDT. I enjoyed it. I am sure she'll be a big part in season 3, and if not in season 3, she'll be a big part of one of the many series that was revealed last
Yeah, we
week.
talked about a lot of those, so check back on that podcast if you're interested in our thoughts on that. We know now, though, that it seems at the very least that season 3, they're not going to have Grogu, which, you know what?
Which
It sucks, but at the same time, I'm okay with it. Because really, at this point, what are they going to do other than continue the same formula? Like, he's protecting Grogu. He goes to a planet. He talks to somebody. They hire him for a gig. He does the job to get to the next thing. Grogu eventually gets kidnapped and he has to go save him. I don't think a third season of that would have worked. But now we got where he's the leader, effectively, of Mandalore with the Darksaber, and Bo-Katan's going to be like, the fuck, I want that. Like...
Well, of course, I know you're not an emotional person. Well, at least not in this case. But like, there was just the
Oh, well, that,
heartwarming
yeah.
moment where, yeah, like he takes off the mask and he's touching Din's face, and then he hugs his leg, and but like Grogu is fucking like the size of, I don't even know what to compare
Like
him
a,
to in
if he
real
stood a
life.
laptop up.
It's just adorable.
Grogu's so cute, and it's even cute the idea that like you can tell how much of a fake puppet it is, and it's just
It's so fake. Oh my!
it's it's
I
so
was
bad
watching it
sometimes.
move, and I was like, "This looks like the claymation Christmas movies
Yeah,
almost."
I think it's especially noticeable when they pick up the puppet and the legs don't move or anything, and it's just like, all right, you're holding like a lamp essentially. But yeah, you gotta love the whole like he takes the mask off because it's just like, all right, I want the kid to see my face and know who's been watching after him the whole time. Grogu's just like, all right, thanks, buddy. Like you mean a lot to me, and you're just like, just pet him on the head. Like,
Ah, it was a beautiful, heartbreaking moment. I know somebody definitely messaged me that they were crying at 3:45 in the morning. You know, it's an emotional thing. But I'm thinking next season's gonna revolve around Boba.
well, they did say the book of Boba Fett, which he kills Bib Fortuna at the end, the little post credit sequence, and takes over Jabba Hutt's palace, which is like, I didn't know I wanted this until it happened, and I'm like, holy shit, Boba Fett taking over the Hutt crime syndicate. That's not only great as far as like, yeah, of course he might do that, but it's like, hey, they don't even have to say worry so much about like it already ends in two T's. It's Fett and Hutt. It's just like, all right, well, there you go. It's the Fett industry now. But that's great. Like, and he's gonna have Fennec Shan next to him, so she's gonna be a good number two. Ming Na is awesome, so definitely totally up for that. I don't know if it's going to be a spinoff or if it's going to be another element of season three.
I'm thinking another element of season three because we've seen all the spinoffs they've
Yeah, they
announced.
didn't announce that, but then again, maybe they didn't announce it because they didn't want to spoil it. But then again, like we know that Boba Fett had some issues with Bo-Katan in this episode, and if the next season revolves all around like the leadership of Mandalore, maybe it's going to be like this Mandalorian's going around and doing all this kind of stuff and making a bad image for us because he's in the crime syndicate. But people think that Boba Fett is Din Djarin. And then you got Bo-Katan's like, give me that sword. You know, like that kind of thing. It could be kind of like the
Ah,
friends are now the enemies kind of a thing. Because really, at this point, what's Moff Gideon going to do? You know, he's already captured.
I think hopefully they take their time building the Book of Boba Fett and season three, and they don't worry about trying to create another Grogu.
Yeah.
Like they don't feel like, all right, we've got to get the Grogu replacement. Like just do whatever you're gonna do what makes sense to the story, and worry about that when it comes.
And I did see some people saying, oh, is this going to be like we're going to track Luke training Grogu? I don't think that they're going to do that at all.
I I would doubt it. I think Grogu he will pop back up because they're not stupid. They know they have money,
Yeah.
but like he's not gonna come back for a while. Maybe mid-season, season three, you'll see Grogu pop
Some
up.
kind of like they're doing some kind of a mission somewhere and they cross path with a Jedi and it's Luke and Grogu and whatever. And yeah, like
Yeah,
big fan of that.
I love how it responds to its name. It's honestly, we all need a
Yeah,
Grogu
we do.
in our lives. I'm in love with the little green thing. I'm sorry.
It's weird that like all this happens during the same week that the original Boba Fett passed away, Jeremy Bulloch.
Yeah, damn shame. But legacy lives on, and he not only did Boba Fett, he was in Doctor Who. He did some stuff in the Bond films, as we were discovering. And yeah, damn shame.
Any other thoughts you got on Mandalorian recap? You think that any kind of hints towards the future going in a certain direction you're interested in or whatever? I mean, Book of Boba Fett, great. Luke, great. Minus the CGI and stuff. Grogu's adorable.
Yeah, I would just say I'm a little worried for season 3 because like I just said, I worry that they're going to think that this show is just a puppet show and they have to create like a cute mascot. And the best thing about the series has been the story that they've told and how faithful they've been to not only Star Wars lore but just good writing. That like sorry, like this highlighted how bad the movies were, and I just hope that they keep this energy in season 3.
I'm curious what they do to replace his ship. I figured he might get a new ship
Hmm.
in this episode, and it didn't happen.
Probably be a big part of like the first or second episodes of season 3. How far do you think they are into shooting season 3?
Hmm.
Do you think they've started? Do you think that COVID is going to make season 3 come out in like 2023 or 4?
Maybe, you know?
But is that okay because we have 50 fucking
Right. It might just be the type of thing where they're like, well, we got a lot of things coming out, and you'll see this, you'll see that. All the things that carried over from last year will keep you busy. And I mean, they did say Book of Boba Fett coming in December 2021. So they must have enough of that they feel confident that whatever is happening with that is fine.
is good to
So
go.
either that
Yeah.
is season 3 or that's a spinoff. And if that's a spinoff, then maybe we get that instead of The Mandalorian. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't come across anything about that specified that. I guess we'll probably find out in the next few weeks.
Yeah, we might have to look a little more into that. Again, my hat is off to the team behind this show, and I want more Star Wars, which is not something that I would have been saying a few
Yeah.
years ago.
I really I want them so bad to do something on this show where they go like, we figured out time travel and we went back and we switched a bunch of things from what's going to happen in the future with the First Order and all that. And look at that. We retconned those movies and now we can do a different story. Be so much better.
Yeah, so much.
I'll toss out a couple quick things here. Margot Robbie said there's no imminent plans for a Birds of Prey sequel. Good.
I wonder, well, why?
Maybe
Why? Why ever would
because
that
it
be?
sucked and nobody wants it. You know, that's a thing. DC is going to reduce its publishing for comics. They're going to go less in February and even less in March. Right now, they're doing around 50 different types of things, and they're going to go down to 34 in March. So there's maybe the first signs of the rest of the dwindling market for that because people aren't buying comic books, and I don't blame them either, you know? Print media is not the
Um,
way that it used to be, and when there have been so many years of people trying to basically stay in
you
its
know what's gonna get annoying? They're gonna do the fucking vinyl thing where it's
yeah,
like it'll go
that's totally what it
away
is.
for a little bit and then it's gonna be like, oh my god, we're reviving comic
That's
books.
100% what it
And
is.
it's it's the video game thing where like they take a feature out of a game just to bring it back a few years down the line and go, isn't this new thing cool that we should have never taken out in the
Or
first
to show
place?
you that we've listened to your feedback and we
And we're adding that thing that we took out because we wanted that feedback.
yeah, we wanted to show that we're making
Uh,
progress even though we're taking a step backward to make the step forward essentially. But yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to be cuz the thing with the collector type of thing was they started really gouging people and they started to use their lifeblood was basically this idea of we're going to release a bunch of variant covers, and the people that buy comics in the hope that they'll be worth something are going to buy all the variant covers. So anybody that does that, we're going to get their money 6 times over. But then regular people aren't buying them because kids don't read comics the way that they used to. People don't read newspapers like they used to.
You know what's not fair though? They're telling good stories. Like I know Three Jokers divides people, but I like Three Jokers. You know,
Yeah, but it's just a
uh,
matter of do it digitally. It's
but
cheaper.
are people?
It's, you know,
Do you? But do you spend your time reading PDFs?
if I had my
Like,
time, I'd read more.
would you?
I'd be much more willing to read a comic book on a thing like that than to actually hold a physical comic in my hand. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I did like a variation of that is like when I would rather spend the time listening to Comics Explained, do a video explaining everything where he's
Yep.
like, because Comics Explained's great. We talked about him last week, I think, even when we were done with that. It's just like, this dude's great.
Comic Comic Explains is so good. I was watching something earlier from him about Punchline because I don't particularly care for that character. I don't want to hate that character, but it's obvious to me what that character
Yeah, it's just
is,
Harley
and I
replacement so she
almost
can turn babyface.
but I almost wish like if you're gonna replace Harley with a new heel, you could have replaced Joker. And I know Joker's irreplaceable, but maybe you still could have tried at least.
But yeah, Comics Explained's the type of guy that I would much rather have an hour-long video where he's explaining the Infinity Gauntlet series and saying his usual tropes of, so now what we have here is, and like those kind of things. And then what we go to is this, and then what we find out is that this happens instead, and this person's talking, and then for me to actually read the story, unless I find the story well enough that I'm like, you know what, cool, I'm going to actually read the dialogue, I'm going to read it, whatever, because I want to know the gist of it, because it's an oversaturation. Most of the stories aren't all that spectacular, but I'm going to read, I read The Killing Joke because it was like, let me read The Killing Joke.
Same thing for me. I bought Arkham. Now I was gonna say Arkham Asylum, but it's not the name of it. But it's the Arkham
The
Asylum.
Jeremiah Arkham whole thing.
Yeah, the graphic novel. Very good. I'm gonna find the name now because I feel dumb. But I bought that in January, so I've almost had that for a year. But very good graphic novel. Yeah, Arkham Asylum is Serious House on Serious Earth. Very good.
Yeah, and if something's good enough like that it can really resonate, then I'll take the time to read it or whatever. But even then, I'd rather read it digitally because I'm not that type of guy. I know there's plenty of people out there that do it, but I'm not the type of person who's like, it's so much better if I have a book in my hand. Nah, give me the Kindle, I'll read it. It's the same to me.
And I'll go a step further. Depending on who does the work, I'll take an audiobook. I am pro audiobook, and here's why. You like podcasts? It's the same shit. If somebody tells the story right, and to that effect, I've been very into audio dramas, podcast wise. I sent you the Power Rangers one. Like I'm very into that now. Passive content is very good in this time frame.
I'm not big on audio stuff like that as much as I am where I'd rather watch like a breakdown on YouTube or so, but my ideal for a lot of these things is animated. Like, if you can give me the animated cartoon version of a particular story, I'm gonna like that the best, most likely.
Oh, they're doing Long Halloween next year.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. I don't have that down on my list. When's that coming out?
That is coming out in, I believe, around summertime.
Nice.
So let me look, because Needle Mouse Productions put out a video in the last week or so about the animated movies coming out in 2021. And there's actually a Batman movie coming out like Batman Soul of the Dragon is coming out in January.
Yeah, that's I think I have that down. That's the one that's like all 70s vibe. And it's like Bronze Tiger and Richard Dragon and
Yeah,
all that. That looks like it could be kind of fun.
yeah. And Long Halloween is also coming, and they don't have a date yet, but I am very, very excited for that. We watched Man of Tomorrow on this very YouTube channel. Did a fan track for it, not fan track, but like a review, and it was great. I love DC's animated movies. I'm not as excited for the Robert Pattinson Batman just because I've grown so accustomed to the animated
I'm
stuff.
like in my head thinking to his face.
Yeah. I have not grown accustomed to Pattinson's face. I don't think I've seen him in a movie since I saw the original Twilight in theaters, and that was 12 years ago.
I recently saw him in a movie. I watched
What was
Tenet,
the movie?
and I have given it a lot of thought, and I had thought about doing a review point, and
They wanted you to
I
watch
actually
it,
thought
but
about
not.
doing a review point in like reverse and do this whole type of thing, and then I'm like, that's a lot of fucking work. So I was just like, nah, I think I'll talk about it on this show a little bit. I will not spoil Tenet, so don't worry about it, everybody.
Spoil how
I
you
will
feel
spoil
about
how I
it.
feel about it. So I had messaged Rob when I was watching it. I got 38 minutes in, and I wrote down, these are some notes that I wrote down. Uh, this isn't a spoiler, so don't worry, everybody. I wrote down, starting off with something in reverse music. I think I know where they're going. So the very opening of the movie, just like the titles of like the, Warner Brothers and whatever, I'm like, I see where you're going here. Okay. And then the next note that I have is 38 minutes in. I have no fucking idea what is going on. Every conversation is a constant stream of random ass information. None of it makes any sense. It doesn't help that the music is super energetic all the time, even when they're just talking, which makes this feel exhausting. There's no moments of just quiet reflection to really listen to this information, take a moment, process it, and move on. It's genuinely frustrating as I'm just feeling like I'm an idiot or that this movie is stuck up its own ass. And then I wrote a whole big long thing that I'm not going to read because this was like spoiler type of stuff where it's like getting into a lot of things. But the movie has a lot of dull and wooden acting in it where people are just saying lines. And that's because the lines are very much like, we need to just get this exposition out of the way. So when you've got,
So we can blow shit up.
well, it's not even really like all that actiony in that sense. Like they've got a couple cool sequences where like, and it's like, oh, I get like the symbolism behind it. It's like they go bungee jumping, but they jump upward. It's like, because it's not the way that you bungee jump, and like, and it's like, yeah, okay, cool. But like, it gets me the feel of like, this is another one of like, if he were to make a Bond movie, but at the same time, he just wants to tell the story of, isn't editing fun? Because the whole movie is just editing.
I I had said something to you, and I forgot what it was because we talked about this when you first saw it, where I said, "That's the culture. It's it's look at me, I'm so meta. Look at me, I'm so thought provoking." Like it's very that is the job of the creators of the day. They need to make themselves feel as though they are on the level of legitimate Hall of Fame creators of days gone by. And I'm not saying Nolan isn't.
He's done
Obviously,
some absolutely
he's
amazing stuff. That's why I watched something like Tenet, because I was like, I think it might have been my number one movie that I had written down, or maybe it was like number two or so for like the 6 flicks picks for the year, because I was like, man, I can't wait to see Tenet. Like Inception is so good, and I love what he did with Batman Begins, and I liked Memento, and like The Prestige is a good movie. I didn't really love Insomnia, but whatever. I didn't like Dunkirk. I wasn't too big on Interstellar. So it's gotten to that kind of thing where he has now crossed over into Tarantino mode for me.
wait, Interstellar. Hold on, was that?
Yeah.
McConaughey.
Murph, don't let me leave,
Holy
Murph.
fuck. Holy fucking shit. That movie was a trip and a half.
But this is like full blown
Oh,
Quentin Tarantino for me, where Tarantino, I was like, oh my God, Reservoir Dogs is such a fun movie and I love it. And it's one of my favorites of all time. Pulp Fiction, oh my God, it's one of my favorites of all time. It's even better than Reservoir Dogs. And then I start watching some of the other things and I'm like, hey, Kill Bill's pretty good. Like, yeah, it's
Kill Bill is
not
very
as good
good.
as the other ones, but I've seen both of them a couple of times. I own them. It's like the type of thing where, yeah, I like Kill Bill 1 and 2. Nowhere near as much as Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, but I like them. They're good movies. Gotta say, I'm not a big fan of Inglourious Bastards, and I probably should watch it.
How'd you like Once?
What's that?
How'd you like Once Upon a
Did
Time?
not.
Why?
The whole movie is just, lol, this is like the 60s. And you're like, yeah, but what's the story? And he's like, I mean, wouldn't it be fun if we kind of show DiCaprio being like a 60s movie star? And you go, yeah, but what does he do?
All
And then you
right.
go, he
All
acts
right.
like a
But,
60s
but in
movie star. And
fairness, is that again not portions of today's culture where it's like, okay, this, but the aesthetic of the
yeah,
90s. Look at the VHS filter. Okay, this, but the aesthetic of the 80s. Look at the synthwave. It's like, I get it. I love all of that. Don't get me wrong. I'm a junkie for that stuff. But I'm also like, I like that stuff because I like the culture it's rooted in, and I like the stories that come out of that culture. I don't just want to be like, I want to make it look like it's the 90s, but not be as deep or good.
yeah. To me, if you slap a filter on something, it doesn't make it better. It can make it more interesting, but it doesn't make it good by default. That's why the whole thing with the X-Men movies, where they're like, well, this one will be in the 60s, that one will be in the 70s, this one will be in the 80s, this one will be in the 90s. And you're like, so why are they not aging if 40 years went by and Professor Xavier looks pretty much exactly the same? Well, because we wanted them to make a joke about CDs in the 90s. Well, why? Because isn't that funny? Well, it'd be funny if the movie was about how they went back to the 90s. Well, we don't want them to do that. We want them to just be in the 90s. Okay, well then, who fucking cares? Like, it's kind of like,
I
like,
I
that's why
definitely
Days of Future
think
Past is better,
that
is because Wolverine is going back in time, and not only is it just a better structured movie, but it's like the jokes of the time are because he has the reference point, not because it's just like, oh, that's a reference. I get it. Then you're getting into like epic movie territory where it's just like, there's Carmen Electra.
it's just
Don't you want to laugh because Carmen Electra's there? Or
and it's just meta. It's just like, look, this is the thing. We're gonna do the thing. They've literally been doing like the say the line in certain elements of media where it's just like, you're here for this thing and we're gonna give it to you and that's
yeah.
it.
And if you're going into Tenet expecting it to be a great movie, it's not, to be perfectly honest. If you're going into it wondering how somebody can tell a story in an interesting way, then there's merit to it. Because if you don't know what Tenet is a movie about time travel in a way. Not fully in a way, but that's what it revolves around. Kind of like how Inception is about dreams. So if you've seen Inception, it's the idea of, well, you don't know what's dream and what's not. And in this, it's like, well, you're messing around with time. And the way that he tells certain things and the way that he kind of goes about doing some plot elements is pretty good and it's pretty smart. And he very clearly mapped a lot of things out where he had like a whiteboard and like this draws into there and this loops back to that and this color means that and this color means this, whatever. But like at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, it's the same story we've heard 1,000 times. He just happened to edit the story differently. So that's it. Just like how, did you ever see Dunkirk?
No.
Dunkirk is what essentially can be boiled down to, there's an attack and people either survive or they don't. And if you were to put that movie linearly, that movie just seems bland.
Yeah, the way you described it to me
Yeah,
was.
it's Memento, same thing. If you tell a story of Memento in the order of how it's told, and you just say, like, guy has memory issues and he's hunting down somebody who he thinks is maybe the guy that killed his wife, and he keeps forgetting. And you just go, okay, well, then when you watch the movie and you go, okay, so he just turned around and said, hey, did I just talk to you? And you were like, that's not fucking fun. You know, the fun part's the editing, but he just got a little too obsessed with the editing in this one and didn't bother to write a better movie, because there's characters that literally tell you, don't think about it, just go along with it. And you're like, that's lazy. You're just telling people at the 30-minute mark, look, it's confusing, I get it, but I want to tell my story this way. Can you just fucking give me a pass? You shouldn't do that.
Did you like Hardcore Henry?
Didn't see it.
Not surprised.
It was on my list of things
But
to see, but that was one of those times where I just, like, nobody felt like seeing it. I didn't feel like going to the movies on my own, and then I just didn't bother watching it on, like, VOD.
check out the podcast we did last week for a full discussion on movies and movie theaters and movie culture.
But that, to me, like, that struck me as the type of movie that seemed like it was, okay, we'll do found footage, but we'll kind of make it as if it's like the first person point of view of a video game. And that could be fun. But I had a feeling that probably that movie afterward, you go, all right, that was kind of fun what they did with it, but the story sucked. At the end of the day, however you frame a story for me, I'm still going to tell you whether or not the story sucked, because that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and I agree with that completely. And I think it's almost a lost art is telling the story, because I think people think the idea of a story is good, and if I tell you the plot and if it's got the right bullet points, then I've done my job. But the story has to be good. I haven't seen Tenet yet. Maybe I'll watch it and completely disagree with Tony. Who knows?
Tenet reads
I
to
did.
me as the pitch was, I'll tell this complicated time travel type thing with confusing editing. And at the end of the movie, you understand what happens in the movie. Like, it's not that it's too complicated to understand, so you walk away going, oh, this is over my head and I'm an idiot. It's just the way that they tell it is confusing up until, like, the halfway point of the movie. And then you go, okay, so that's why they did the one thing, is because it's the problem is if you're telling a story of a mystery, and the way that you make it a mystery is you just don't tell people anything. That's the problem. Kind of like Star Wars. Like, the issue wasn't who's Rey's parents. The issue was they introduced who's Rey's parents with nothing in mind. And then they went, you care? Her parents are nobody. And then you went, well, then why'd you make a big deal about it? And then they went, just to get you to think about it. No, you didn't. You just had nothing in mind. You thought that'd be interesting, Whereas Mission Impossible 3, J.J. Abrams, same director as Force Awakens, he creates the rabbit's foot as the MacGuffin of the movie, and you really don't need to know what the rabbit's foot is. You just need to know that they're going after it. They don't need a set of the movie where they go, oh, this is a device that can trigger this kind of it. You just go, did he get the rabbit's foot? No. Okay, well, then we're running to go chase the guy. That's done well. Star Wars was done bad. And Tenet was sort of, I'll show you a clip of something completely out of context, and 45 minutes later, you'll go, oh, yeah. Like that kind of thing,
Yeah, the way you presented it, I'm very interested, because you make it seem like you might like it, but it's also just not the best formed story. So I personally probably won't. But when I think about things with polarizing reviews, that leads me to Cyberpunk.
There's the
And
video game portion. Well, one of the video game things of this episode.
Cyberpunk and its review story, it's a fucking mess. So, IGN gave Cyberpunk on the PC a 9 out of 10. And from everything I've heard out of people who play it on PC, I've been told it's great. And it's actually really fun. Yes, there are some bugs with certain elements of the game and the in-game economy, but it's a really fun game. I guess that's not entirely the case, as Sony, which doesn't do this at all, has started giving out refunds for those who purchase Cyberpunk on their store and have removed it from their store altogether. And apparently it's unplayable on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. PS5 is better, but I guess not enough because they took it off of the store. I don't know how to feel about this game. I know it was in development for 7 years. I wanted it on release day, but I got cold feet because of this, and I waited, and now I'm glad I did, but I'm also now worried that I may never get a chance to play it because it might just be dead
Maybe
by the time I decide
maybe
to
the
pick it
whole
up.
point of the name is that the movie's finally going to be, or the game's finally going to be completed in 2077.
It might be. I mean, what do we got? 57 years? We'll be here in 57 years, I think, right, Tony?
Sure. Yeah, the world doesn't explode.
You'll be 90. Like
Here's something that I thought was really funny because I'm not a gamer at all. The last console that I owned was a PlayStation 2. So that goes to show you
smart
how,
choice.
whatever. And I owned like 5 games for it because I just kept renting games and beating them. And then, my heyday is Nintendo and Super Nintendo by far, and N64.
And that's, to me, if you look at anything in the world of gaming, you'll see the console war days of like the Super Nintendo and the Genesis, probably the peak time of gaming.
So they put up a statement, and I thought that this was fun. This is why I thought I was like, we should talk about this. This is what they say from the CD Projekt statement. Following our discussion with PlayStation, a decision was made to temporarily suspend digital distribution of Cyberpunk 2077 on PlayStation Store. You can still buy physical versions of the game in brick and mortar stores and online. All purchased digital and physical copies of the game will continue to receive support and updates as we continue to improve your experience. Perfectly fine so far, right? According to our knowledge, starting today, everyone who is not willing to wait for updates and wants to refund their digital copy of the game can do so by submitting a request at whatever. We're working hard to bring the game back to PlayStation Store as soon as possible. I was like, what a kind of like throwing some shade out there kind of thing out there. Everyone who is not willing to wait for updates, like as if the problem is you ungrateful fuckers aren't just buying our game and waiting. And one of the comments that has almost 16.9 thousand likes right now is somebody that took the same thing and they replaced the text of "Thanks for your money, actual game coming next year."
But that could be it. I'm gonna say this though. One of the biggest things I hate about modern gaming culture is the reliance on updates.
It's so ridiculous. I would not be able to handle that well. If I were a gamer, I would be furious because you should not put something out there if you need. It's one thing if like when you start the game, they need to do like, okay, you need to update the patch before you get started because this happened after distribution. But you should not be like,
right.
All right, it's game day. We just bought the game and we installed the game for like 2 hours or whatever it is. And we did the patch and whatever. And yeah, it's still not working right. No, fuck you. Do your product. It's just a service. Like fix the problems before you release something. And if you can't release it in time, then you need to know for future projects that you need to give yourself a better time frame. And if you can't do that, do something to compensate for it, lower the price, give people something extra, apologize, like, because didn't they delay this before?
They, it was delayed many, 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 many
So what
times.
made them
It's
think that
been
this was good enough now if this is so horrendously bad?
because they had to get it out there. I think, to me, the fact that the PC game does so well makes me go, okay, you're relying too heavily on updates. And yeah, is their message a little fucking shitty and condescending? Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie. It's honest. It's an honest tone of what they're saying. Like, well, here, if you don't want to wait for us to try to fix the game, here you go. I wish, I play the WWE games. I wish that 2K was like, hey, we fucked up. Here's your money back. They didn't give their money back. They should have, but at least these guys are willing to be like, well, fine, fuckers. If you want to miss out on the coolest game ever, we've got Keanu Reeves, and we're gonna fix it. Like, it's broken right now, but we'll fix it. I think they will. I think if they stick with it, which is the key, if they stick with it and don't just belly up, then in a year from now, or maybe even sooner, 6 months, they'll have worked out all the kinks and it'll be great. That's a stupid side effect of modern gaming, and I hate it, but it is what it
To me,
is.
it's just one of those things where they just killed themselves with this because now everybody's just like, oh, screw that game. And if they fix all the issues, less and less people are going to be willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, but it's going to depend on how good the game is, because maybe people will come back to it. One of the things I like about buying digital is always having it in the library and not being totally tempted to just return it to GameStop. Although in this case, since so many people were offering refunds, most people probably will just return it. My thing is, if everybody drops off, they're not going to be motivated to fix the
Yeah,
game, and they're just going to let it
that's what they'll
die.
do. They'll do the bare, like, I mean, every company wants to do as little work as possible to get the most money. Every person in the world wants to do that. But you can't do something like put a game out there that doesn't work and then get mad at people for being upset that they bought something that's not what it is. I wouldn't be happy if I went to a movie, for instance, even just a movie, and they said the movie is 2.5 hours long, and here's a trailer that promotes the movie, and all the scenes in the trailer are not in the movie, and the movie's 30 minutes long. I'd be like, well, that's just false advertising. And I wouldn't, and I don't like it when you see, Wendy's advertises. I don't know, my voice cracked there. Wendy's advertises like, this is our new beef whatever something kind of burger, and doesn't this look great? And you go, yeah, I know. When I get it, it's not going to be good though. It's not going to look as Wendy's is better than the other ones, but like, it's not going to look like that. So I don't go into grabbing a burger from Wendy's thinking that it's going to look and taste the way that it looks like it's going to taste on the commercial. And I think that there's something about gaming that, like, me being an outsider, it registers differently to me. I absolutely hate when I see gaming commercials and I can tell that not a single thing has anything to do with the gameplay. I'm like, you're just showing me cinematics. All you did was go and spend money on animation. That doesn't have anything to do with the game.
You don't get enticed by like the story element of it.
Maybe, but if you don't show me the game, I just assume you're not showing me the game because the game itself is not fun. And if I wanted to watch an animated story, I mean, I love, certain animated movies, and I've only played a little bit of the Arkham games. And to be perfectly honest, I have more fun watching a playthrough of the Arkham games than I had playing the game from a little bit.
Um, this summer, I got real into watching long plays of games.
And it doesn't work for
And
everything. I
like
mean, you
just
can't watch somebody play Tetris for hours, like,
Right, but like when I got into like this deep dive of games from my childhood that I never owned, and like I'm too lazy to go back and like try to find and play now, that is such a good way to watch the story of a game play
Yeah.
out.
Like I've got it bookmarked to watch the Spider-Man Miles Morales because I don't have the console. I'm not going to play the game. I'm not going to buy a console, then buy the game just to do it. But if the story's cool and whatever, I'm going to watch somebody else play it. And I know that I would probably have more fun if I did have the time to play the game and go through it myself the way that I used to go through, Donkey Kong Country or whatever. But like, to me, that's because I'm not buying the game. I'm watching it on YouTube for free. If I spent $60 to play a game and all you're doing is you're giving me cool cinematics, then I'm pissed.
Yeah, and I get that. And like for you, it makes total sense to just focus on long plays. Like for me, I wouldn't do a long play of Miles Morales because I want to actually get that game and
Right.
live that experience.
Yeah, if I had a console and I had the time to play, I'd be more willing to just be like, no, let me just play the game. Yeah. The last
Right.
game that I played actually all the way through was Lego Batman.
Lego Batman
I
games are
played that
good.
with Caroline because she has an Xbox and 360, I think is what it is. And
They're very, very good games. I have like on my computer alone, I think I have like 13 games revolving around the Dark Knight. And yeah, Batman games are very good.
I just thought it was funny that this, like, for those of you who aren't willing to wait for us to do this, whatever, it's like, you shouldn't have released it if it wasn't done. That's not their
Did you
fault that they're
see?
mad that would you like to buy, you go to Red Robin, I'm going to use a burger method again because I'm really feeling like eating a burger right now. Like, you go to Red Robin and you're like, hey, I'd like to have the Whiskey River barbecue burger with fries. And can you put an extra slice of cheese on that? And they go, yeah, okay. And then they bring out a plate and it's got the bun and a napkin. And you go, well, where's the other thing? And they go, oh, well, it's coming later. And then you go, oh, now you gave me the fries. Where's the burger? Oh, that's DLC. You have to get, like, it's gonna.
Yeah, so they're calling Cyberpunk the Poochie of video games because in its like, user disclaimer, terms and agreements and all that, it was kind of just like very Poochie and like that. I'm gonna say all these cool hip words now, and and then it's I gotta go. My planet needs me. Oh, Poochie died on the way home to its planet.
uh,
Uh,
so that's the thing. There's the gaming side of things. Here's a trademark: Marvel Studios Nomad. Don't know what it's going to
I like
be
that.
yet. If it's going to be a TV series on Disney Plus, or if they're going to try to make a movie out of this. But Nomad is the name that Captain America used in I think it was the 80s, might have been the 70s.
Right, because he like is it Vietnam? That he's like, I can't support this flag anymore. And that sounds like
Yeah, I
Vietnam.
think because
It's
it was
probably
it was the Nixon thing. I'm pretty sure. So
That would be awesome.
I mean, Nomad
I'm
is Nomad. Like, they're not going to go with the name Nomad and not have it be at least somewhat related to Captain America. But we don't know if that means that it's going to be Steve Rogers or if they're going to do some kind of other thing. Because there are more than one people that use the name Nomad. There's Jack Monroe is one. Steve's got a kid named Ian Rogers. There's Ricky Barnes. I don't know Ricky Barnes. Is that like Bucky's kid? Let's see.
could be.
Rebecca Ricky Barnes. She was established a Counter Earth incarnation of Bucky, crossed over to 616, operated as Nomad. So here's what I'm thinking: Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to spin off a lot of stuff. I got this real good feeling now, even more so after we watched like the WandaVision and everything. A couple of years ago, they said that their focus was going to be to split the MCU into the cosmic and the ground level type stuff.
Right.
WandaVision, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Spider-Man, which now is going to have Dane DeHaan potentially, and Willem Dafoe, and pretty much everybody except for Topher Grace.
Okay, first of all, poor Topher Grace, and second of all, that thing that we talked about from the Mandalorian kind of looked like Topher Grace. Just saying
The Thing?
that the
Oh,
CGI of
yeah.
that person kind of looked
I
like
forgot that
Topher
we weren't doing
Grace.
spoilers past that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing I'm thinking with this is that we get Black Widow helps set up the Thunderbolts, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier really sets up the rest of it, where it's just like, all right, Ross is in the mix, and this person's crossover U.S. agent. I think it's going to be a part of that. I think that they're going to give that name of Nomad to Bucky. And that's going to be like a Bucky story.
I'd like it to just be a one shot about, pissed off Steve Rogers in the 60s or
Well, here's the
70s.
other thing where I'm like, this would be pretty sweet if they did this. We never got any kind of clarification about what the hell it means for Steve to have gone back in time and to done all that kind of stuff, because if you think about it, it shouldn't work that way. It's kind of like he shouldn't have been able to go back and be in the past, and if he was, then why wouldn't he have stopped things like 9/11 and whatever. So I'm thinking maybe there's a chance that with the Nomad name they go with this idea of Steve actually was doing shit back then. He was just doing it undercover. He wasn't being Captain America. He was doing things like fighting different Hydra cells or whatever, and he's Nomad throughout the years. But there's been no indication at all that Chris Evans wants to return as Captain America and do all that. So that's why I'm thinking like spinoff, Bucky, do something like that.
Do you think that these people, like, let's say Chris Evans or Hemsworth, are less scared about becoming typecast? You think that they're more like, fuck it. Yeah, if you're gonna give me all this money, I'll be Captain America till the day I die.
I think they're a lot less scared about it now than they were 10 years ago, for sure.
Because like we joke a lot on this podcast and just in life about Tobey Maguire because I love those movies, and his whole thing was, I don't want to be Spider-Man forever.
And then you're like, fine, you'll be nothing afterward.
Yeah. The poor guy, but I think, listen, if you could tell me you can keep milking this gravy train, yes, sir.
It's weird because people do that with TV shows. Mariska Hargitay has been Olivia Benson on Law and Order for like 30 years.
Or like, how fucking long has Grey's Anatomy been going
God
on
knows.
now? Like, I was a child when that show started. I'm rounding the corner rather quick to 30. It's not always a bad thing if you get wrapped up in a sweet gig.
I know that if I were like Tom Holland and I were Spider-Man, which now there's a rumor that they've signed a deal for 3 more movies, which is fantastic. So that would get into like his college years. But if I could be Spider-Man and like do the kind of things that they go to a hospital and it's like, hey, Spider-Man's here to visit the kids or whatever, I'd be like, I want to do this forever. Just like, it'd be amazing.
And I just hope that, whoever comes into these roles does appreciate that, because I don't know, like it always kind of pissed me off, even when I was younger, to hear, Toby, and then her name was it
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst, yeah, being like, really, you want a Spider-Man 4? And meanwhile, fast forward 12 years and look at all the fucking movies we had in the MCU, and you're worried about
Yeah.
Spider-Man 4. Like, yeah, it's like, enjoy the ride because you're a part of something really special.
Yeah, I think that is something to look forward to, whatever it is, because it's Marvel. So I mean, Nomad,
It's always something to look forward to.
especially if you tell me that Chris Evans is involved. Yeah, I like that guy more and more as time goes on. He just seems like he's a nice dude. You know. Another movie related thing here. Tom Cruise. So
Oh my,
I
wow.
read Tom Cruise goes on a rant, and I went, oh Jesus. And I clicked on the thing and I listened to it and I went, fuck yeah. Like, all right, Tom Cruise. So if you didn't follow the story, Tom Cruise, they're filming the new Mission Impossible movies. They're doing them back to back, 7 and 8. And they're filming 7, I think, still. And he went on this rant about people that are not respecting the guidelines that they put out for making things easier for COVID. And he's just like, this isn't even that much of an exaggeration. He's just like, motherfucker, you are gonna cost us from being able to do this job and continue filming this movie, and all these people are depending on it, and it's because of you assholes for not doing the right things that you're gonna screw it up for everybody. And what are you gonna tell the people that can't provide for their families because they don't have this job as this movie's going on and that pays for their bills and whatever, and knock it off. And if you do it again, you're fired. And I'm like, good job.
And he's literally like, and Hollywood is looking at us to see if they can do this because our fucking industry is at a standstill. And, you know, and if I see you do it again, he's fired too. So you're like, and I was just like, yes, because I had the same reaction you did. I saw Tom Cruise rant and I went, fuck. And then I listened to it and it's just like, hell yes. Yeah, Tom Cruise fucking gets it. And I want more people to be like Tom Cruise.
It's so weird to say that, isn't it?
Like, which is terrible. Like, listen, Tom, the Scientology thing, we can talk about it later. But this, because maybe it's because you understand science. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because you've just given your life to science. But Tom, this was beautiful. Thank you for this. Because I want to do this to people in the real world. I want to do this to people in my own life who want to go, but I want a New Year's party. It's like, I don't,
Yeah.
no. 3,000 people are dying a day.
So here's
Thank you,
here's
Tom.
part of like the transcript or something. For some reason I can't find any that's like a full on transcript. Here's a section of it at the very least. We're the gold standard. They're back there in Hollywood making movies right now because of us. Because they believe in us and what we're doing. I'm on the phone with every fucking studio at night, insurance companies, producers, and they're looking at us and asking us to make their movies. We're creating thousands of jobs, you motherfuckers. I don't ever want to see it again, ever. And if you do it, you're fired. If I see you do it again, you're fucking gone. And anyone on this crew does it, that's it. And you too, and you too, and you. I wish I could see who he's pointing at. If you ever do it again, that's it. No apologies. You can tell it to the people who are losing their fucking homes because of our industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay for their college education. That's what I sleep with every night. The future of this fucking industry. So I'm sorry, but I'm beyond your apologies. I have told you now, and I want it. And if you don't do it, you're out. We're not shutting down this fucking movie. Is it understood? If I see it again, you're fucking gone, and so are you. So you are going to cost him his job. I really want to know who he's pointing at. If I see it on the set, you're gone, and you're gone. That's it. Am I clear? Do you understand what I want? Do you understand the responsibility that you have? Because I will deal with your reason, and if you can't be reasonable, and if I can't deal with your logic, you're fired. That's it. That is it. I trust you guys to be here. That's it. That's it, guys. And it's like,
Yeah.
fuck
But
yeah, Tom
yes.
Cruise. Like,
Yeah. When he said, show me the money,
yeah.
that is it. That is the money. Tom Cruise is the fucking man. Like, and it's weird again because didn't think I'd be saying that, but yes.
And he points out about like the stick and the meters, because it's there's part of it's like people aren't respecting the whole the distance side of things, and it's like that's like some people just don't get it with this whole thing. They're just kind of like, yeah, but it doesn't apply to me, and it's like, yes, it does. There's nothing that just goes, oh well, Sheila, it's her birthday, so it's not gonna do anything for that. It's like, it's a virus. It's the same as when you say like, I can drive drunk because whatever. It's like, no, that's not a good
I
idea.
live I live right around the corner. I can turn the corner and turn in the corner.
We hit someone.
Low shit. You hit
How
a
many
kid.
times do you see on
Like,
the news where it's like, hey, it's a hurricane, and people go, yeah, I'm not leaving. And then you go, oh, they lost their house. And it's like, yeah, because the hurricane went, all right, fuck you, Bill. Like, you know, kind of like, I was surprised at that, though. I was like, I'm expecting to hear that he went on some kind of like rant about,
anti-mask.
yeah,
Like,
like the total opposite, where it would have been like, why are you people not filming this the way that I want you to film it? I don't care about this COVID nonsense, whatever. Like, I was expecting that to be the case, and instead he's just kind of like, hey, stop being a child and listen to the fucking rules. And I'm like, yeah, all right, Maverick. Like, I'll jump off a building or something. Kind of like Tom Cruise, man, win some points.
hell yeah.
Second to last story to talk about here is another thing based off of that with the movies. The movies obviously took a major hit this year, and Warner Brothers was like, shrug, HBO Max, and everybody was like, no, and now they're going back and forth about that. Well, the newest thing is, since movie theaters and chains and exhibitors and all that are not happy at all about all these things that are going to be happening in the next year with, you know, The Matrix 4 is going to come out on HBO Max the same day that it comes out, and that's a big, big movie. And same thing for Suicide Squad and for, you know, et cetera, et cetera. They're currently thinking about slashing prices for Wonder Woman tickets to even maybe $3.
So that's next week.
Yeah, it's Christmas.
What happens if the death count is up to 3,500 a day and you just ain't getting people into theaters? Like, I know what they're trying to do.
They're taking the hit
but
for
I
this
really,
because they want to screw Warner Brothers, essentially.
but I just really feel like stop being, you know, a child. And I've gotten into conversations with friends recently about how, like, maybe I'm not being completely sensitive towards how badly businesses are being affected. I call bullshit. I am very sensitive to how badly businesses are affected. If you go back into our other brand, Smart Cow Moment, in March, you will listen to Tony and I very concerned talking about the possibility of us not knowing what we're going to do. Now, granted, that didn't work out that way for us, but yes, a lot of people haven't had their businesses be as flourishing as they would like. But at the same time, it's still a pandemic. And I'm sorry, but if people need to watch Wonder Woman 1984 at home, let them do that so that we can all get back out to the movies. Because as we discussed at length last week, I think that people are going to flock to theaters and they'll watch anything
They'll watch drivel
just to be back outside.
You can put shitty old movies that people know suck.
You can put a documentary on running water.
People will be like, yeah, did you check out you know, the new H2O thing or something?
Did you see the part where the water ran? Wasn't it awesome in the theater? Yep. Just let this happen. And hey, if society decides that, you know, they would rather sit in the comfort of their own home, then they're going to do that regardless. It's not going to matter how much you slash the price.
See, I think that this is a long play type of thing, though. I think that this is AMC and such thinking, we're kind of fucked. Like, if we're lucky enough with these vaccines that everything staves off and things go back to normal for summer and everything can be released, then less people are going to go to the movies than they would have the year before because people are still going to be scared. Like, there's going to be people that never go to the movies again, ever, just because of this. It's not going to be a big amount, but there's some people are, you know? And some people are going to wait until 2023 or 2024 to go to the movie again. You know, it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of like, okay, now I feel more comfortable doing this and feeling that. People are going to start doing the things that they have to do before the things that they want to do. Unless you're completely, you know, I'll just do what I want and I don't fucking care kind of a thing, which you're doing that anyway. So you don't even factor in. But somebody like myself, like, I really want to go to the movies again. I miss it. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I miss eating popcorn at the movies, and I miss having that theater experience and hearing other people laugh at the jokes and whatever. But I'm not going until I feel comfortable. And it doesn't matter how many of my friends go, oh, you got to fucking deal with it at some point. Like, no, you got to deal with me not coming out. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like AMC or whoever the exhibitors are that try to do this, I think that this is their way of saying to Warner Brothers, you can't do this HBO Max thing all of next year. You need to give us the break that when things can go back to normal, we need people to flock to the movies, and you can't give them an alternative. Maybe in the hopes that at the very least, they can stop them from saying that it's going to be all of next year for HBO Max.
I think that that's reasonable, but Disney's doing it too. Pixar's releasing Soul. You can't control everything. If it's going this way, it's going this way. If you try to fight it, you're gonna look like the sore loser. Just say, hey, let's get through this and we'll worry about that bridge when we cross it.
So the last thing to do, I'm going to check out this Super Nintendo World Direct thing. Have you seen this already?
I watched it when it aired.
So I skipped forward to the video. I don't know if you want to have it up at the same time or not.
Oh no, I will actually. So
I'll give you the link of it right now. So I'm on, for anybody that wants to kind of follow along and do a little mini fan tracks sort of thing here. So I am on the Super Nintendo World Direct 12/18/2020 video on the Nintendo YouTube channel on 2941, where it's just the tube. Looks like it's a Mario tube. 40. If it's not a tube, then I'm wrong. But
it's absolutely.
Yeah, I figured it pretty much had to be. If it was like a, I don't know, Kirby pops out of that, then it'd be kind of strange.
All right.
2941 is what I'm at. All right, so I'm gonna hit play in 3, 2, 1, play. And mine froze. Okay. Since I had that waited to. All right, now I'm at 342. All right, Miyamoto's out. Okay, hello everyone. There we go. I'm Mario's dad. Oh, that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
So I have this muted. I'm not going to listen to it. It's subtitled anyway, so I don't think I needed to.
He did say Yahoo.
He did?
Yeah. That's
so
fantastic.
Is this the entrance of the park?
Correct.
That's pretty cool. You go in through a little warp tube. Okay, the giant pipe over there is the entrance. Cool. Okay, here we go. All right. I like that. It's got a little like kind of hyperspace kind of vibe to the tube.
I would go to Japan for this. I know it's coming to Florida, but I would still trust Japanese people more than I trust Floridians.
Florida man stuck in tube. Curious what other designs they would have gone with. This seems like the most obvious basic thing that they would have done. I would have done that. This looks like
the inside of the Super Mario 64 castle.
Yeah, this looks a lot like that.
Oh yes, because they even had the Bob painting. That's the first
Yeah,
stage in Mario
I love
64.
Bob-omb, by the way. That's one of my favorite things about Mario. So cute.
That's a great name too.
Bob-omb, Shy Guy. So they're going to be
That's
playing music
awesome.
throughout the thing. They should, obviously, because why wouldn't they?
That I don't like that they put Baby Bowser in there
Hmm.
instead of like regular Bowser, but okay.
So let's see what we got.
Oh my heart. Oh,
This looks pretty dope. You got there's like so many things to look at in this. So I wonder what the coins are that are spinning around. Are they just like
they're probably just like on a
little
rotator
like
disc.
windmill type things?
Yeah.
You got like the Goombas all over the place. The stacked
This
Goombas.
is
That's so cool.
amazing. Like, look at Yoshi just power walking around the
You
fucking tree.
got the piranha plants. You got the thwomps on there. Oh my god, I would love this so much as a kid. Now this is supposed to have
I love it
other
so much.
like other parks that are Donkey Kong and Kirby and all that stuff too, right?
Yeah, they're supposed to have like
Smash
Zelda
Bros.
and stuff like that.
The block activity. It's even more fun if you have one of these power up band.
Oh, that's so...
So what is this power up band? Search for secret hidden around the park. Dude, that'd be so fucking fun as a kid. Oh man, I want to be like 8 and do this. It'll record what you do. QR codes on the band. God, this seems so much like so cool. And okay, you link it with your smartphone. They should do these kind of things. That's what the whole point is. The amusement parks are for like fun.
Okay, cool. What do we get?
Punch it with my hand. Do you hear the coin sound? I have it muted, so I didn't hear that. Check the smartphone. Hey, you got a coin.
That's awesome.
If I were a
I want
kid going around doing this, I'd be like, I need to get all the things.
look, and they even bothered to give you different power up bands.
I'd probably grab like a Luigi one or Toad. No, Toad's better. Toad's the man.
Ah.
So they got like, I mean, there's so much stuff that's like going on in the background alone. You could just like sit there and just look at everything for a while. You could do something with the piranha plant. Oh, he's not going to show it. Oh,
Oh shit, it's gonna fucking attack us.
do they? Oh, I wonder if they have the chain things.
Oh, they gotta have chain jumps. That like motion sensor. Oof.
We have a Koopa Troopa. They should sell those in the animated show from back in the day. They had like those egg breakfast sandwich things that Yoshi was eating.
I can't wait for this.
So you tap onto that. You got the POW blocks. Is that going to like knock out the Koopa Troopa? It should. Boom, boom,
We
boom.
see that it's.
You got to
Oh,
time it
shit.
right. So this is like an actual game.
Yeah, and you're gonna get the.
You can't get it. All right, there you go. Now you got it. Good job, Miyamoto.
Ah, that's awesome. That's so cool.
All these kids lining up, being like, I can't get it right. You know, like they probably give people a couple chances or something. I wonder why it's taking them so long to do this.
Because they want to do it right, unlike
Maybe that's
Americans.
why. Yeah.
I don't want to fight Bowser Jr. Fuck you. I want to fight Bowser. Like, let's.
Yeah, you got the.
I want to be.
Realistic underground cave. It resembles a huge maze.
It feels a bit creepy.
Yeah, it feels a bit creepy. Turns out you step the wrong location, you fall in lava for real. He's having so much fun too. I like that.
That is
They're doing a lot with the
awesome.
power band thing, so that's cool. It's Bowser, the final boss. No, of course it's not. If this was like a, you take it into the PG-13 direction, he's like, nah, fucking with you. you know? Get a little too close to the Bob-omb. Oh no, it exploded. This is so fucking cool, and it's just the Mario part too. Now, if they got into the Zelda thing, I'd skip forward that because I never was the Zelda thing. But let's see how this goes. He's supposed to be that he turned small.
Oh shit.
That's so cool that they even bothered to do like you're smaller Mario. I don't want to get crushed here. Yeah. Now I'm kind of like I kind of hope that they don't keep showing everything like that, because then what's the point of going through it if you've already seen the whole thing?
Nah, they were smart.
Yeah, they cut out a good portion of that. I hope. Let's see what this next area is. One Up Factory. Oh, it's a gift shop. Okay. Oh, every place needs a gift shop.
I would spend so much money. Like, Jesus.
All those little like plush type things. The hoodie. I have one of those Luigi hoodies. Got that as part of a promotional thing for fanboys.
Nice.
Toko Toko Mario. I had those little Mario McDonald's toys back in the day. Probably worth something now, and I probably threw them away. So,
Is he just eating? Oh.
yeah, you're like a 1 second or something ahead of me on this popcorn in a little star container. Okay. Caramel peach.
You know how you know this is in Japan is he says, "Oh, eating popcorn while you're walking might be a little ill-mannered." Okay.
So we got like Mario and Luigi going around
These are
like
great. These are fantastic
yeah, they
looking.
look just like the characters. They're doing the whole Disney World type of thing.
Even better than Disney. Their eyes blink.
Dad's busy.
I like that he's embracing
Yeah.
that.
So then technically they should be Mario Miyamoto and Luigi Miyamoto, right?
That's better than Mario
Yeah.
Mario and Luigi Mario.
Big gift box and a small one.
Dude, I love those power bands.
The restaurant's run by toads. How are they gonna do this? Here comes the chef. Canopio's Cafe. Always like Toad. Now I can't imagine kids are gonna really want a whole lot of mushroom dishes if it's actually mushroom. You know what I mean?
They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to localize that.
Well, I assume
Like,
it's
oh, we'll
like
give
that
you a
they look like the
burger.
mushrooms more so than actually like here's some shiitake whatever.
Dude, this looks so cool.
They should do. Oh, okay, so they're showing the like eating area, the cafeteria, and they've got like the little onion looking thing from Mario 2, which that's a good idea. And it makes it look like the toads are like cooking and all that. That's adorable. Man, it's such a shame that this isn't open already and that COVID's a thing, you know? I mean, not that I could be flying over to Japan for it or whatever, but like that seems like such a fun, like you bring your kids there.
Jesus
and
Christ. That looks
Oof.
good. All right, this might not be for kids, but this is for me.
Yeah, I want to eat that
Like-
burger. After all the burger talk that I've done today. Did they say what the mushroom thing was? That like it looked like it was a little pastry or something. Which
Nah, but it looked good.
now we got Shy Guy. Underrated character. Needs his own game. Mario's game world has also been created in full scale. So is this coming to Florida at some point?
Yeah, they're gonna say it. It's coming to California, Florida, and I think Singapore.
Universal Studios Japan, February. Really? Wow. Okay. I didn't think that it'd be February. I thought it would be like summer.
They're doing better than we are.
Yeah. Well, they're more disciplined, so I understand. Hollywood, California. We're going to do Florida. I'm so fucking going to the one in Orlando at some point.
We need to.
Just like it's got to be a thing. If you're able to visit Japan before they open,
Yeah, I'm gonna visit.
go come visit Super Nintendo World. So they're not sure. I'm assuming that this is the end of the video, basically. Yeah, it seems like it kind of is. So they aren't
Well, hold on. They're doing Bowser's Castle.
inside is Mario Kart. So they needed a Mario Kart thing for sure. Yeah. I would assume you got a thing for Zelda, you got a thing for Mario Kart, you got a Smash Bros, you got Kirby.
Donkey Kong.
They got to do a Donkey Kong. That's got to be like Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if they would have the rights to do Pokemon. I think so, right? Because that's weird. It's like Game Freak and Nintendo share it, sort of. So I don't know. But they probably bought enough of the rights over there.
That looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. If they do have the Pokemon thing, they got to be where you can like craft your own Pokeballs, like to personalize them. I like how there's the banana on the like
Dude,
the crowns and everything like that. That's cool too.
those trophies.
This is a trophy for this race, exclusive to Universal Studios. Huh. Now, if this like an actual go-kart type thing, that's significantly better, of course. If it's not, and it's just like you watch a go-kart thing, then that kind of sucks. Oh, there you go. Okay,
Sure.
it's looks like it actually is like a ride. And I hope that they've got that like the like boo doo 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 kind of beep beep beep.
Yeah, so now we're heading towards the end of the video.
There's a lot more that we didn't show you today. I'm very excited for your series. So, yeah, I mean they got to show another point. Like here's like the Kirby section. Here's the Metroid section or whatever.
That was fantastic.
That's like, that's so genuine. We need to put Grogu in Nintendo World, and just the world will heal. And Tom Cruise can be like, you see, because you listened. That's a good way to end off. That's happy moments.
That's beautiful, man. Thank you for going through Super Nintendo World.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. We figured we would do this kind of on the fly. If you think that this is something you'd like to see more of or hear more of, because it's a podcast, then head up to Patreon, because that is going to make a big difference for that. Even $1 can go a long way, especially the more people that do that. But if you want to request something that you haven't done in a while, maybe you really are missing our fan tracks or something, then there's the Pick Your Poison tier. And maybe you want to pick up a t-shirt or something on the merchandise side of things. That helps out quite a bit too if you want something a little bit more tangible for like a monetary donation or something. And if you don't have the spare change to get that, then I totally understand, because COVID sucks and the world's the way that it is. But even other ways that are non-monetary help out a lot too. Just hitting the like button on this video makes a big difference. Subscribing to our YouTube channel if you haven't done that already. Sharing things if you think somebody's interested. Checking out the articles. Hitting the retweet button or follow or any of that kind of stuff. It's all great. So the fact that you listen to this alone, I thank you. Anything you want to toss out for the plug side of things?
I just want to say, please donate specifically to the Fanboys Patreon whenever you can, because I love doing this. And I've said the only thing that would get me to leave wrestling media altogether is if I was able to just cover pop culture as a whole. And I love doing the fun side of pop culture. I liked talking about The Mandalorian. I like talking about Super Nintendo World. And I want to do more of this always. And thank you. Follow me on Twitter at Duke Police. But thank you.
Follow me at Tony Mango. Follow all our wrestling stuff over at Smart Out Moment. And stay tuned for what else is happening here, because I don't know. I know at the very least 6 Flicks Picks for 2021 is coming out, because I already wrote that. And I'm going to try to write up some version of the Fanboys Film Awards. I can't really do what I normally do because no movies came out this year, but I'll try to do something about like what are my least favorite movies that I saw this year, my favorite ones, which ones are like the biggest surprise or the biggest disappointment, or I might do something. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But yeah, if it's not happening on the channel or on the website, then you bug me about it and I'll try to make it happen. But we'll see you when we see everybody. That's going to do us in. It's time for us to geek out. Adios.